Hello, I am Ankit Kulkarni with Bentley Systems. In this video, we will be covering evaluating pre and post development design. I will show you how it works. Let's get started. Start the SewerGem software and click Open Existing Hydraulic Model on the Welcome dialog. Browse to prepost.stsw on the starter folder and click Open. A single catchment representing the existing farmland has been created. Notice that the background layer shows the road alignment and also includes the preferred location for the detention pond and last catch basin. Select File and Save As. Enter the name of pre-post solution and click Save. Make sure that your current scenario is pre-development 10 years. Since the pre and post development catchments overlap, you should only display the elements which are active in the current scenario. To do so, go to Tools, click on More, click on Option, and uncheck Display Inactive Topology. Now, toggle between the scenarios to see the elements are active. The post-development 10-year scenario should look like this. Now, return to pre-development 10-year scenario. Double-click on the only catchment, catchment 16, to view its properties. Notice the scaled area of 2.008 acres, SCS curve number of 60, and time of concentration of 10 minutes. Now, review the storm data by going to Components, Storm Data. Again, click on Storm Data. Click on 24-hour storm. Here, notice that there are two written events, a 10-year and a 100-year. Both scenarios in this field use the 10-year storm event. The 100-year event will be used in the final step of this workshop to ensure the pond does not overflow. Close the Storm Data Manager. In the Analysis tab, select the down arrow below Compute and click Compute Hydrology. Click OK to close the message. Right-click on the catchment and select Graph. Leave the default Flow Total Out field and click OK. Your graph should look like this. This is your pre-development runoff hydrograph. Notice that the peak flow rate is 3 CFS. Now we will review post-development catchments. Switch to the post-development 10-year scenario and zoom into the northern end of the study area. Double-click on catchment 15 to see its properties. Notice that scale area of 0.142 acres, SCS curve number, and time of concentration of 5 minutes. Click on other catchments to check their properties. Now zoom to the southern end and double-click on the catch basin INR1. Right-click on the catch basin INR1 and select Create Profile. You will notice that the pipe diameters increases as more water moves downstream. All the catch basins have been designed with sump of 2 feet to capture sediment and debris. Now close the profile. Our next step is to create prototypes to minimize data entry and taking advantage of the fact that elements share many of the same properties. For that, right-click on Conduit SS12 and select Create Prototype. Leave the default name and click OK. Again, right-click on catchment number 15 and select Create Prototype. Leave the default name, click OK. Similarly, select the catch basin INR6 and select Create Prototype. Leave the default name and click OK. Now you are ready to enter the remaining components. Here in this project, we will be using Bentley's terrain model file. A terrain model can be used to dynamically update node ground elevations, traces water paths, and delineates catchment. For that, go to View, click on Terrain Models. Now in the Terrain Models Manager, click New and set the following. Keep source type as Bentley terrain model file. Terrain model source Browse to detention underscore terrain.tin in starter folder. Keep the source unit as meter. Check the box for show contour lines. Leave other setting to their default values. Now your screen should look like this. Click OK to return to the Terrain Models Manager. The Terrain model will be activated and displayed. Your screen should look like this. When a Terrain model is active, the coordinates in the status bar in the bottom right corner of your window will display the Z coordinates as derived from the Terrain model. In the Terrain Models Manager, click the Run Catchment Delineation icon. Zoom in to the north end again. You will see a black square with X that serves a placeholder opposite to INL7 to guide you when placing the last catch basin. Go to Layout, select Catch Basin. Your cursor changes into the catch basin element symbol and a cross. Make sure the cross lines up with the center line of the placeholder, like this. Click to lay out the catch basin. A catchment should have also been created and look similar to the screen. Now go to Layout, select Conduit. Now draw a pipe from a new catch basin to INL7. Rename the catchment Catchment 14. The catch basin INR7 and pipe SS13. Here, ground elevation is automatically updated from the terrain model file. We only have to enter the invert elevations of the catch basin and the pipe. Double click on INR7 and set elevation invert to 1038.4 feet. Double click on SS13 and set the invert to start as false. Invert start at 1040.40 feet. Set invert to stop as false and set invert stop at 1039.74. Now leave all other settings as they are. Save your file. Let us compute the post development scenario. Go and click on Analysis tab and hit Compute. Close the summary dialog box. Find the outfall O1, right click and select Graph. Click OK to view the default flow total out. Your graph should look like this. Notice that the peak flow out of the post-developed drainage system is about 10 CFS. Let us compare pre and post hydrographs. Go to View and select Graph. A pre-post hydrograph has already been created. Double-click pre-post hydrographs. Your screen will show the graph. You can click the zoom button to zoom into the peak of both the curves. We will create a post-development with pond scenario. Select Scenarios in Analysis tab to open the Scenario Manager. Right-click on Post-Development Tenure and select New and click on Child Scenario. Name the new scenario Post-Development with Pond 10 years. Double-click on the new scenario to open it in the Properties Manager. In the Active Topology field, click the drop-down arrow and select New to create a new alternative. In the Create New Alternative dialog, name the alternative Post Development with Pond Topology and click OK. Here's a small note. When creating a new alternative from the drop down in the scenarios properties manager, the new alternative becomes a child of the alternative used by the parent scenario. Now close any open managers so you can see the model. Select post development with pond 10 years from the scenario drop down menu to make it current, so that upcoming data entries and elements will go into the new alternatives. You will need to make SS7 inactive in this scenario. For that, go to Tools tab and select Active Topology. This will open the Select toolbar. With the Select toolbar open, in the drawing, click on SS7. SS7 and Connecting Outfall O1 will be automatically selected, but you want to keep the outfall active. To do that, select the Remove icon and click on Outfall O1 to deselect it. Now click Done, a green check mark on the Select toolbar. Only SS7 should have disappeared. Now switch the scenario to post development 10 year and notice that SS7 becomes active again. Switch the scenario back to post development with pond 10 years. Now you are ready to lay out new elements. Place a new pond following the rectangular shape as shown. Use the layout tools to place conduit CO2 and outfall O2, and then place pond outlet structure POS1, conduit CO3 and outfall O1. Use the properties manager to change the labels of these elements. Now double click on O2 and set boundary condition type to boundary element. And pick PO1 as boundary element. Set elevation invert to 1039.20 fits. Set the following properties for CO2 and CO3. Double click on PO1 in the properties manager. Set the volume type to elevation area. Click on the ellipsis button in the elevation area field and enter the data as you can see on the screen, and click OK when done. Double click POS1 and set the following settings. Select upstream pond as PO1. Click select upstream pond from the menu and select from the drawing. Has control structure? Yes. Click the composite outlet structure field and choose edit composite outlet structure to open the composite outlet structure dialog. Click the new button and select composite outlet structure from the list. Rename the structure to orifice and weir. Set the following. Headwater type, use pond for headwater range. Select PO1 as pond, select from the drawing, and tailwater type as free outfall. Notice that the headwater and tailwater minimum and maximum values have been automatically populated from the pond's elevation range. You will now enter the components of this outlet structure. With orifice and weir selected, Click the New button and select Orifice. Set the flow direction as forward flow only. Number of openings 2. Orifice coefficient as 0.6. Elevation of 1039 feet. Orifice type as circular orifice. Orifice diameter 6 inch. With orifice and weir selected again, click the New button and select weir. Set the following. Keep the outlet structure type as weir. Flow direction forward flow only. Weir type as V-notch weir. Elevation of 1040 feet. V-notch angle at 30 degree. Coefficient of discharge 0.576. That's it. Close the dialog and return to the properties manager of POS1. In the composite outlet structure field, select orifice and weir from the menu. Save your file. We will compute the post development with pond 10-year scenario. Select analysis and compute. Close the summary. Right click on O1 and select graph. In the series option dialog, check the pre-development 10-year scenario and leave default flow total out and click OK. Zoom into the peak of both hydrographs. Peak flow out of the pond 4.3 CFS exceeds the pre-development target peak flow of 3 CFS. Now let's take a look at the pond's outlet structure. Select components and go to composite outlet structures. Select orifice and weir and click compute rating curves. Click on the rating table to see the structure are contributing flow at each pond's level increment. You could experiment changing different parameters for the weir and orifice to see how they affect the discharge out of the pond. For this exercise, we will modify the weir and analyze its impact on the discharge. In the composite outlet structure dialog, highlight weir 1 under orifice and weir and increase the weir's V-notch invert to 1041.6 feet. Select orifice and weir and click compute rating curve. Click on the rating table tab. Since the weir won't start contributing flow until the pond is above 1041.6 feet, you have effectively delayed the flow. We will now compute the scenario again to see the effect on the system. Close the composite outlet structure dialog. Select analysis and click on compute. Close the calculation summary. We will review the results of proposed pond scenario. Right click on O1 and select graph. In the series option dialog, check the pre-development 10-year scenario and leave the default flow total out field and click OK. Zoom into the top of the both hydrographs. You can see the peak flow out of the pond 2.9 CFS is now below the pre-development target peak flow, that is 3.0 CFS. So you have satisfied the design criteria. In this selection, You will check your detention pond to make sure it doesn't overflow in the event of 100-year storm. We will create the new scenario and alternatives. Go to analysis and select scenario. Right click on the post development with pond 10 years and select new to create child scenario. Name the new selection scenario post development with pond 100 years. Double click on the new scenario to open it in Properties Manager. In the rainfall runoff field, click the drop down arrow and select 100-year storm. In the Scenarios Manager, make sure Post Development with Pond 100 year is the current scenario by right clicking on it and selecting Make Current. Now, compute the scenario. Close the calculation summary. In the notification dialog, you will notice that a few conduits are operating under pressure, but no element are experiencing flooding. Now close the scenario dialog box. Right click on PO1 and select Graph. Choose hydraulic grade and then click OK. Notice that its peak, the pond reaches elevation of 1042.1, almost a foot below its top elevation. Now close the graph. Select the catch basin INL6 in the drawing, right click and select Create Profile. Animate the profile and notice that at around hour 12, the pond reaches its peak and some pipe surcharges during this 100-year storm event. To see the effect of the pond in the system, we will compare three hydrographs: the pre-development condition, the post-development condition, and the post-development condition with detention pond. Right click on O1, that is outfall, and select graph. In the series option dialog, check the pre-development tenure, the post-development tenure, and the post-development tenure with pond scenario. Leave the default flow total out field and click OK. Zoom into the graph for more clarity. Check all the runoff hydrographs and you will notice that this detention pond has effectively attenuated the runoff from the road. Let us answer the few simple questions. The answer of question number 1 is: in this project, the new road, which is without detention pond, has increased the total runoff volume as well as the peak flow rate. The peak flow rate of 10 cubic feet per second is more than 3 times the pre-development peak flow of 3 cubic feet per second. However, to mitigate the impact, a detention pond has been designed and the peak flow rate actually decreased to 2.9 cubic feet per second. By adding the detention pond, the road now has a low impact on the existing waterways. Now, let us answer the second question. There are a wide variety of outlet structure type, with weirs, orifices, and risers being the most common. Civil Storm and Sewer Gems can model any combination of those as well as culverts, vortex walls, and user-defined structures.
If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. If you want to see more such series, consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you and see you next time.